I'm going to take these last two gentlemen. Mrs. Herrick tells me that she's ready to vote. I have to listen to her. So I'm going to have to vote on these two gentlemen.
That's why I'm here.
You're one of the
Question.
gentlemen. So,
David, I'd like to move the question.
you want to move the question? Is there a second? Well, no, I thought it would be. That's not debatable. Okay. So all in favor of moving the question, 2/3 vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The question is moved. Okay. So now we're voting, just so we're clear with everybody, just on Ritter 22, okay? We need to get a recommendation, roll call from the Finance Committee.
Mr. Erickson?
I favor the articles as written. I think we have the necessary protections in place, and I recommend approval.
Mr. Martin?
I couldn't hear Mr. Martin, sorry. Pass. Pass.
Mr. Hendrick?
I recommend approval for many of the same reasons as Mr. Erickson mentioned.
Approval, Mr. Henshaw. Yep.
Ms. Anderson?
I don't recommend approval.
Again. Okay. And I think we've heard from each one of the selectmen. Oh, the chair, sorry.
On this particular article, I do not recommend approval.
Not really. Okay. And I think we've heard from each one of the selectmen, so I don't think we need that vote again. So this is 2/3 because it exercises the change of control. And so I anticipate, you don't have to yell at me, it's about numbers. So all those in favor of Article 22 regarding Ritter, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? No. By my vote, by my count, rather, I would say that Article 22 is defeated. If there are 7 people who doubt that, I doubt it. Need 7. Stand if you doubt, sorry, so I can see if there's 7. Cole was already seen. Okay, so we have to have a count. So you have your cards. I said it was defeated, did not pass. What I heard. So you have your cards, that's how you vote. I had 2 counters in each section. I'm not sure they're both still here. But if you're a counter, just stand up and recognize so I know I got my counter. Rebecca, I know you're a counter. Do we have another counter over here? How about you count for me, would you? Okay, so I got 2 counters on this side, and you guys are going to do the stage. Okay? Everybody, FinCom, everybody up on the stage. Okay, Mr. Menard, do you have a counter?
I have a comment.
And we need one more person. Mr. Martin? Pardon? You got it, yeah. Mr. Martin, would you count the middle? Okay? Huh? I think you can count, Mr. Martin. Okay. Mr. Passios, I'm not going to use you because one of the buildings is named after you. Mr. Bingham and his buddy over there, 2 of you guys can do it up there, okay? I'm telling you. You're going to count, you're on the middle with Martin, okay? So the middle is all here, okay? And them?
Everything between the eyes.
Huh?
No, you're not.
Yes, that's the middle.
Oh.
This is the middle. This area and that area, that area and that area. Bingham and Jones can do this side all the way up and all the way down. All the way up to Sullivan, okay? Everybody clear? And when you get your vote, you have to come up to the microphone and declare the count, okay? The state, yes, Mrs. Herrick. Ms. Herrick. The gentleman on this side, over here, are counting all the people up front. Okay? Got it, Captain? Good. Okay. So raise your card if you are in favor of Article 22. Agree between the 2 of you and then announce your vote from the microphone. What's that, John? Okay, go to the microphone. We're going to declare you because it's on Kathy and my left. How many yes on left?
5.
5. How many yes in the middle?
8.
8? Thank you. And how many yes on my right?
9.
9. Okay. So now raise your card if you're against Article 22. Okay. Mr. Jones, on my left, against,
13.
13.
Raise your nose again, please. We have a discrepancy.
Mr. Levesque, is your side ready?
17.
17 on my right.
Is that an up or down?
We can't, that's gotta be. Okay, start again. Why don't you walk together and count it together? In the middle, keep them up.
Okay, thank you.
25? 25 in the middle. So Kathy will tell me 2/3. $22 yes, 55 no. 2/3, what's 2/3? I don't know. We'll do All right. Keep your honor. Okay, Article 22 is defeated. Now, I'll entertain a motion on Article 23 that we don't have to read the entire article, that all of you know by now what we're talking about, and that Article 23 relates to the Brook House. Can somebody second that motion? Second. All in favor of not reading it, it's up on the board, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously. So Article 23 is now before you, whether or not the town should do all the same things we talked about in Article 22, this time related to the Brooks House. Anybody want to debate, discuss the Brooks House? Any questions about the Brooks House? Okay, Selectmen, your vote on the Brooks House. One by one, roll call vote.
Mr. Gonzo.
Aye.
Steve Saul.
No?
Mrs. Bertrand.
No.
Ms. Lyle.
Aye.
And I for myself.
FinCom.
Mr. Erickson?
Aye.
Mr. Martin? Mr. Henshaw?
Aye.
Ms. Anderson?
No.
Aye. Myself?
Okay, again, this is a 2/3 vote, exercise of control. All those in favor of Article 23, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? No. The article does not pass. Article 24, related to the primary school. Somebody's going to put that up for me. Thank you, Mr. Mew. Article 24, anybody want to discuss or debate Article 24? Being none of...
Mr. Moderator.
The primary school, Mr. McCall.
Dave McDonald, Island Road. One point of clarification. That's been already turned over to the selectmen. Does that stay in force?
Mr. Moderator, that's what I was going to say. According to Mr. Eversole, that authority already rests with the Board of Selectmen. I just want to clarify that wasn't reversed. I just want to clarify with the town council that wasn't reversed when we voted at the special town meeting to bring the RFPs to town meeting.
That's correct.
Okay, so can I move that we pass over that article?
We pass over. Okay, that's been seconded. You got to do the favor, pass it over. Go ahead, well, it's been seconded. Go ahead, you want to discuss passing over. That's what's on the floor, whether or not we should pass over. Go ahead.
I don't think we should pass over. It's contradicting what presumably was approved at the session.
It's already been approved.
Okay. So, then the question is, why do we have a repeat of an article?
So, would you like to address why it's on the warrant if you already have the authority?
The article at the special town meeting referred to the RFPs that were on these it was 5 buildings actually, because it included the patios. And the article was passed saying that any responses to the RFPs would come back to town meeting. The RFPs were out, we got no responses, and this was just a confirmation for the buildings overall regardless of that particular RFP process.
Okay, so the previous article that we approved was for you to go out and get RFPs. This is totally different. This turns over control to the Board of Selectmen to do whatever they want to do. Totally different.
Mr. Alonso?
There was prior to that RFP request at the special, many years ago, when the new primary school was built and the old primary school was left vacant, the custody for that building was turned over to the Board of Selectmen, and that was probably 6 years ago, approximately. I don't have the exact date. And since then, we had entertained senior housing for there, and that took up a lion's portion of that 6 years. So the transfer of that property happened well before the RFP and the special town meeting.
Okay, I would recommend that this article still be voted down until the Board of Selectmen come up with a resolution to say, was it RFP or was it before the RFP? Because right now it's not clear.
Yeah, Dave McDonough from Island Road. I just want to make a comment from the last speaker. It is not up to the selectmen to do whatever you want with the property. It's up to the selectmen to make the right choice for the town, keeping in mind that we have bylaws in effect. As far as the old primary school, at town meeting, that was approved to the Board of Selectmen, which is what you've had for the last 4 or 5 years. Thank you.
Katie Adams, Katie Adams, Williams Drive. A question. Do we have an opportunity here, though, to vote no on this article since it exists?
Yeah, at the moment, we're just voting on whether or not we're going to pass over the article. If we pass over it, you won't vote on it. It will be passed over.
Okay.
If we don't pass over it, then we'll vote on the article.
Because I feel like the town might need the front end of this property for town parking for the Ritter Town Hall, if we had one. So it's just something I want to throw out there.
Go ahead.
My microphone's not working right now.
Then talk loud.
If we were to vote to defeat this, that does not eliminate the previous vote 6 years ago. That's still in place regardless.
It's Mark Freeman, 338 Northfield Road in Phoenix, Monterey. That was my question to the town council is, you know, this article would have proposed some sort of change or formalization of the Board of Selectmen's role with regard to the old primary school building. So would a no vote on this in fact rescind the prior authority because that authority was placed at question in the proclamation warrant?
It would not. It would not rescind that prior vote.
Thank you.
I'm on 50 for a long time. It may not rescind it, but if that doesn't exist, which the Board of Selectmen can't confirm at this point, it will not, I'd like to see a document. By saying voting no on this, we don't step over and give them the authority. If it's already there, that's great. But by voting yes on this, it doesn't matter what happened before, this gives them authority.
What's before you at the moment is a motion to pass over Article 24. That's a majority vote. All those in favor of passing over Article 24, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed to passing over Article 24?
No.
No.
Okay. Article 24 is passed over. Article 25 is Town Hall. Anybody want to discuss or debate Article 25 related to Town Hall?
Mr. Moderator, make a motion to pass over Article 25.
Motion, that's seconded. Second. Okay. Anybody want to discuss or debate passing over Article 25? Okay. Oh, Mr. McQuaid, go right ahead.
Damon McQuaid, 49 Brookview Terrace. Almost separate from this, but as far as moving forward in the decision of where we're going to have our future town hall, right now, it seems like we're moving away from occupying this town hall as it sits today. We've been moving in that direction for a long time, since the 90s, when there was a proposal, full architecture set of plans put together, and a proposal to make that the town hall of the future. We've been moving away from that for since then. So I just want to say, anybody out there, I think we need a group to get together and create a nonprofit who can take over the role of facilitating the town hall and make sure it's an icon in the center of town in the future and serve the town, but I just don't think it belongs in the hands of the town proper. So we can pass over this, but I would hope as time goes by, any interested person or persons in the town might consider that venture.
Chris Bernard, 672 Page Street. I was actually just going to say something along the same lines of, it seems as though we keep at these meetings setting up a lot of bodies that tell you what you can't do, but we never really establish anything in town that's along the lines of rejuvenation. So I would like to understand, how you would set up a nonprofit, if you can do that outside of town meeting and just have that. But I do think a rejuvenation body is in order for this town. Trying to figure out what this town looks like in 5 years and maybe 300 years. And then so I guess that's a statement at this point. But the question I have is just why are we looking to pass over? Just because you feel there's a momentum behind not wanting to pass these?
Sounds like a yes. He shook his head, but it was a yes shake. Go ahead.
Just a small commentary on town hall. If you've been following the selectmen meetings, so we had some remediation with, animal issues in the attic of town hall. We have a mold issue in the basement that now renders the basement unusable. We've had structural engineers come in that says that the building needs somewhere in the neighborhood of $1 million of structural work. That's without, changes in windows and bringing it up to proper code. So the move along these other buildings, the move for the primary school, the old primary school, and one for town hall is really more immediate than the others. You're looking at significant bills. The old primary school lease is vacant, but we are actively using the town hall, and it is a building that either needs to be addressed really quickly, or we will not be able to use it. And we really need to do something, if it's a separate committee, if it's a nonprofit, whatever. Just want to see there's a certain immediacy that maybe the other buildings don't necessarily have. So I just wanted to bring that up, Mr. Moderator.
So the motion on the floor is to pass. Are you coming forward to pass over?
I was going to make a comment.
You can make a comment. Yep, we're still talking about passing it over, but go ahead and comment.
So, Matt Snyder, Plant Hill Road again. Again, the only comment I would make, the conversation there was about something that needs to be done. Voting no or passing over these articles doesn't prevent us from still doing something about the building, so I don't really see how it's relevant.
I think there's a lot of people here volunteering for this new committee. Go ahead.
Mr. Moderator, Greg Bittner, 129 Pleasant Street. I don't have any comment in regards to this article in particular, but I know that we do have other important articles coming up, so we encourage everyone to stay for the rest of the meeting. Thank you.
I encourage everybody to stay and eat the donut. Okay, all those in favor of passing over Article 25, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? No. Passed over. Article 26, Mrs. Luck. There you go. Wonderful.
Sorry about that. I move that the town vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to negotiate and enter into a payments in lieu of tax agreement pilot pursuant to the provisions of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 59, Section 38H, B, and Chapter 164, Section 1, or any other enabling authority between the town and Nexamp, Inc., or its successors or assigns, for real property and/or personal property attributable to solar photovoltaic facilities to be installed and operated in the town of Lunenburg on land located at Northfield Road and as shown on Assessor's Map 97, Parcel 90, for a term of 20 years and on such terms and conditions and for such consideration as the Board of Selectmen deem appropriate, and further to authorize the Board of Selectmen to take such action as may be necessary to carry out the vote hereunder.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Selectmen, you're going to reserve your recommendation?
Yes.
FinCom, your recommendation?
We were going to wait.
You're going to wait, okay? Tell us about the article, Mrs. Luck.
Chris Clark of Nexamp will make a presentation.
All right. You've enjoyed the rest of our town meeting, I trust? Good. Why don't you join the town manager right over there?
Good afternoon. Chris Clark with the solar company Nexamp. Our company is developing a ground-mounted solar project on property adjacent to the Settlers Golf Course here in Lunenburg. And the Select Board has asked me to provide some background about the project as context for this article. Start with a quick slide about who we are. We are a Massachusetts-based solar company. We're unique among many of the solar companies out there that we develop, we build, we own, and we operate solar projects for their entire lifetime. We're veteran-founded and we've been around for about 10 years. We do own and operate the solar array atop the Turkey Hill School, and we have also entered into net metering credit agreements previously with the town of Lunenburg. So in terms of the project itself, this slide outlines some of the key details about the project as it is considered conceptually today. In terms of location, as mentioned, the project will be situated on a portion of a 90-plus acre parcel to the north of Northfield Road, adjacent to the Settlers Golf Course. As far as locations for solar go, this is a very good one. It will be minimally visible to any potential abutters. In terms of project size, this project would be 2 to 5 megawatts in AC capacity, or 2.6 to 6 megawatts on a DC capacity basis. In terms of how much electricity that produces, it's enough for approximately 400 to 1,000 homes. In terms of the footprint of the array, it would be 10 to 30 acres in size. From an interconnection or utility standpoint, we're currently working with Unitil to assess the project. A system impact study is underway with that utility. From a permitting and local approval standpoint, we anticipate being before the Planning Board and the Conservation Commission later this spring and into the early summer. In terms of the electricity generated by the project, this will be a community solar project. What that means is at least 50% of the electricity generated by the project will be marketed here in the Unitil service territory to small commercial and residential customers. Those customers will have the opportunity to take power from the project at a discount relative to their regular power rate. And then the last item here is the pilot, the payment in lieu of taxes. That's really what we're talking about here today. The article that is to be discussed would authorize the Board of Selectmen to negotiate and enter into a tax agreement with the project for its 20-year lifetime. This is a conceptual design of the project, pending modification as it goes through more detailed engineering. But as you can see, Northfield Road is at the bottom of the slide. Settlers Golf Course is adjacent to the arrays on the right. The arrays are obviously the blue lines. In terms of abutter impacts, from a visual standpoint, the project is well situated to the north of Northfield Road by about 500 to 700 feet. And there would be visual screening in the form of existing trees and vegetation. So this last slide speaks to the question of why might a solar tax agreement or pilot be good for Lunenburg. There are a handful of reasons. I would put out there that these reasons were developed not just by me, but in consultation with the third-party tax assessor, Regional Resource Group, to Lunenburg. So the first and foremost reason is revenue certainty. Over the life of the project, typically for a solar project, tax revenues will diminish over time, as does the value of the system. Under a solar pilot, that typically does not happen. It's a levelized tax payment over the life of the array. It's also worth noting that there are recent court rulings that indicate that projects that sell electricity to taxable entities entirely are exempt from paying personal property taxes. Our view is that that should not be the case. We think the host community should benefit from the operation of a project within its town boundaries, and that's why we're approaching the town of Lunenburg about a pilot today. There's legislative uncertainty about the personal property tax obligations of solar projects, such as these. Entering into a pilot will help mitigate some of that uncertainty. And overall, it's just a potential long-term revenue source for the town that may in fact exceed the assessed value of the project over time, were it to be assessed by traditional tax assessment means. And then from the development of the solar, from the perspective of the solar developer, why do we ask for a solar pilot? It simply helps facilitate our project financing. We know with certainty what the project tax obligations are over the 20-year lifetime of the asset, then it helps us finance the project a little bit easier. So that's what I have in the way of background. I'm happy to take questions.
Questions from Mr. Clark? Go ahead, sir.
Nope.
Well, you're at the mic.
Sorry. Question. I have a question. Here we go.
All right.
Bob Martin again, 54 Longwood Drive.
Get up to the microphone, nice and close. Keep forgotten.
Bob Martin again, 54 Longwood Drive. The one question I have with your presentation is you're in negotiations with Unitil. How does the energy generated by the panels impact our cost as far as Unitil? Because under normal situations, solar panels get fed back into the network and the rates drop for a person installation. But it doesn't seem like any of the solar farms that we have in town or in other places really do much for the town personnel. So I'm trying to figure out how the installation of the solar panels will impact the town in terms of the cost per unit, which are very high.
I agree they are very high here in Unitil, and that's a good question. Typically when you pay your electricity bill to Unitil, you're paying for three things. You're paying for a wires charge, which is the cost of them to transmit the electricity to you on a transmission and distribution basis, and then you're paying a generation component. So Unitil goes out and procures the generation, buys it separately. It's a separate component. So they wouldn't actually be buying power from the solar project. So to your question, as more solar projects go online, does that make my rates go down? The answer is no. But in the case of a project like this, which is a community solar project, it could indeed benefit you on a personal basis, as you would have the opportunity to purchase electricity from the project at a discount to your current rate.
We have the opportunity to purchase from the solar farm. How does one go about exercising that opportunity?
So it's a process. It's called Community Solar, and we have a web page set up called solarisemybill.com. And once this project kind of goes through the local permitting process, we've been looking to sell electricity in increments to residents within the town of Lunenburg here. And so the entire sign-up and application process will be available on that web page.
Okay, so if we sign up, then next year we'll come to us and ask us if we want to install panels? That's
no.
Sorry, comment you.
The young lady is getting her husband back on scene today. Go ahead.
No, I have two more weeks.
Well, two.
Christine Foltz, 284 Lancaster Avenue. It's not clear to me on who is financing this and how is this going to affect us tax-wise for the whole community or anything. There's nothing about any kind of monies being transferred, and if there aren't any monies being transferred, what does that mean to us as citizens?
The authorization here is for my company Nexamp to negotiate a tax agreement with the town of Lunenburg. And so what would come out of that negotiation is a rate to be paid annually from the project to the town for the personal property and the equipment that is here in Lunenburg.
Okay, so there is money on the table. You haven't mentioned anything what this is in a ballpark. Is this 30 million? Is this $100 million? Or is this something that we're going to have to put out money, or is the Nexamp going to be paying for the whole thing and then we're just going to get funding from it? It's not clear.
Sure, let me clarify that. So this is a project that will be developed, owned, operated, financed, constructed by Nexamp. So we're not asking the town to bear any costs at all for that.
Okay, so this is a private company.
And you are?
I'm David Frost, 733 West Street. This is a private company, privately held company, and they're asking for a pilot payment in lieu of taxes that any other company would have to pay if they were in, say, I don't know, anything else. GM, they were building cars. That's point one. Point two, we were told by you guys many times already, there's no power purchase agreement, you're not going to see a pilot agreement. So that's number two. Number three, if I can just stand on my soapbox for a few minutes. As the town moves forward and we start seeing, actually, a little brief interlude. You're cutting down a sink, a CO2 sink, by eliminating those trees so that you can put up a different type of resource. That's point three. Point four, as we move forward as a town and with all these questions about who are we going to be, just as a way of giving you some points to ponder, if this is about 100 acres, if you had 100 homes there, now granted, it might not be, I'm looking at this not just from the tax point of the town, but from the town as a whole. If you had 100 homes there, each of those homes, according to the census of, I think it was like, I forget which one it was, but one of the censuses that I looked at, the average home spends about 50 grand in their community every year. So that's grocery shopping, haircuts, cars, gas, everything. In addition to what the tax outlay is. That is, Lunenburg will cover its tax burden either way. But the town of Lunenburg is going to be missing all that expendable income. There's not going to be, no one's going to be selling farm goods to this solar development. No one's going to sell them a haircut or a car. So when you start to think about how much businesses bring into the town, yeah, this might bring in tax dollars, but it's not going to bring anything in for the rest of us.
Thank you. Mrs. Bertram.
I want to speak to one of the points that the previous speaker brought up, which is the selectmen talked about pilot agreements in the past, and what we had talked about and the consensus was as a board that we would not enter into a pilot unless there was a direct benefit to the town of Lunenburg. We've since had a presentation by Harold Scheid, our assessor, who's indicated that it actually is in the town's best interest to do a pilot, as was indicated by the representative from Nexamp. There is not a requirement to pay personal property taxes on solar panels. But personally, as an individual, because of the community solar aspect, there is a benefit to the citizens of Lunenburg should you pass this article, because you do have the opportunity to purchase solar. The other point that I want to make to one of the points that a previous speaker talked about was the revenue brought in. I want to point out that development impacts services, it impacts our schools, it impacts our police, it impacts our roadway, and it costs us money. The cost of educating a child, I believe, and people can correct me if I'm wrong, exceeds $11,000. So, and the revenue from a single-family home doesn't come anywhere near to that. So I want to point out that if we want to keep the character and the rural component of our community, talking about development on 100 acres is not the way to do that. Finally, I actually do have a question in regards to, you talked about it being open to the individuals in the Unitil community. One of the concerns and questions that I would have is that since this facility will be based in Lunenburg, is it possible to have two distinct windows for people to request solar power, one for Lunenburg residents, and then to open it up to individuals in the entire Unitil area versus Lunenburg residents?
It's funny, that very question came up this past week in another community where we're locating projects such as this, and our response is yes, and we would be happy to discuss that as part of the pilot negotiation.
Good afternoon. My name is Bill Gustus. I live at 19 Burke Street, and I am one of the owners of this parcel of land that's under consideration for the pilot. I first want to say that on behalf of myself and my two other partners, we have the greatest confidence that the Board of Selectmen will make an agreement that's in the best interest of the town of Lunenburg. We've owned that property now. This is our fifth year of running the golf course, and we've struggled what to do with this separate 90-acre lot. Having worked in municipal government for almost 30 years and understanding the burdens that residential development place upon communities, we thought that something that used less than half of the land, which was well buffered by existing trees which would remain, that this was the least intensive use of the land that we could come up with and still provide us with some revenue to make further improvements to the golf course, which we hope to keep open for as long as I'm still breathing. And the revenue generated from this lease will assist us in making that golf course even better. And we also support clean alternative energy, which this would do. It should be noted that this whole thing needs to go through the entire permitting process, through the planning board and everything else. This is not an approval of the project. This is just giving the Board of Selectmen the authority to negotiate how the taxes will be paid to the town. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Oh, what about a decoration? Wow, there you go.
I'll take advantage, thank you. First, to the speaker, I'd like to reiterate Mrs. Bertram's request of making it an open window first for Lunenburg residents as it is here. So I appreciate you considering that and doing that. We have requested that from people in the past who made similar projects. Secondly, I should say that I'm a huge proponent of solar projects, certainly of this nature, that can help communities. For those people who can put solar panels on their roofs for various reasons, either they're renters or there are other structural problems, or they face the wrong way, or they're in a wooded area, whatever. But to repeat what the previous speaker said, this question has nothing to do with the approval of the project at all anyway. This really has to do with how do we deal with the taxes being assessed. And in the best interest of the town, we have already engaged in pilots with other solar plants. I think this one, because of the things that are listed on one of the previous slides, there are some uncertainties in the legislature. There are some uncertainties with how property tax, personal property tax would be assessed. And the pilot does smooth that out. It makes the plan easier for them to finance, and I would like to see it go forward. And secondly, it makes it a determinable revenue stream for the town. So it really is a way for everybody to win in this environment, and it would be my feeling that we would negotiate something that would be very close to what the personal property tax would be. It just wouldn't happen in a depreciated way where it would happen all at the front and then diminish to nothing at the end. It would be a smooth line all the way across.
Thank you. Greg Bittner, 129 Pleasant Street. I know we have entered into several of these agreements. I think at this time, for this one, it's somewhat premature because we haven't been able to quantify the benefit of the town through their application, through what the residents might be able to get. I know that the taxes are changing, but to refer to the other speaker's comments, that it was established there would be no pilots without either PPAs, but also the minutes from September 4th of 2012, when PB1 was proposing a spot on Chase Road, there are other ways to get benefits for the town through things like host community agreements. In lieu of a PPA, PB1 established a cash sum payment to the school district in the town of Warren without entering into a PPA. So it was a quantified benefits to the town. I know that that's not going to be negotiated today, but I think at this point it's premature to bring that up.
Just one other question for the, I guess maybe the assessor or possibly town council. What happens if this 2.5 override with a pilot agreement? Are they affected at all?
I'm sorry, I missed part of the question. What happens
If there's a 2.5 override, if everyone in town gets a tax increase, are they affected at all?
No, they're totally separate.
So they're just gonna pay whatever they sign in their agreement, and that's it. Anything that happens within the town for the next 20 years, they're free and clear of that.
Well, let me clarify one point. Prop 2.5 has to do with real estate taxes. This is personal property tax.
So their property taxes would go. The land.
On the land? Yes.
It will.
The land is a separate matter.
Okay.
Yeah, but this pilot has to do with the personal property tax, and one of the principal reasons, the reason that we're seeing pilots for these solar facilities is that there is an open question as to whether it's taxable. It gets into the whole thing of utilities and so forth. So it's kind of a compromise, if you will, between the municipal side and the industry side. And both sides saying, let's just work out an agreement, and we all have, as prior speakers have said, some certainty around it. So this way the town gets the benefit of knowing that it won't be an issue that will be litigated, that the town will get the tax.
Mark, if you were long ago, I did not. I have a couple of observations. One is that really nobody benefits from this except Unitil and perhaps the golf course. We get no additional taxes from it. Unitil basically gets a reduction because, as you said, part of their cost is generation. Solar generation is significantly less than fossil fuel generation. So, Unitil will charge us the same, but it's costing them less for the generation. In addition to that, as far as generation is concerned, what will happen is if we request connection to the solar panels, getting the power from the generating panels to our homes is going to be an additional generation or additional distribution cost. So it's not without cost.
Mr. Burke.
I would like to speak to the points of the prior speaker. I would completely disagree. There are benefits to individuals in Lunenburg, and there is not a specific benefit to Unitil. Certainly, the proponent of the project will benefit from revenue associated with the project. However, there is a huge potential for cost savings for citizens of Lunenburg, as Mr. Alonso pointed out, that can't put solars on their homes. A community solar project means that you can purchase power from a community solar provider at a discounted rate, which saves you money. It's essentially the same benefit that you would have had you had solar panels on your home. You're getting a discounted electricity. The transmission lines, regardless of whether or not you use community solar, doesn't change. So it is not a cost to the citizens of Lunenburg. The potential there is to be a cost savings measure. As for taxes, by doing a pilot agreement, there is uncertainty as to whether or not we can even charge personal property on solar panels. So currently, if this project were to be built, which based on our current zoning, there is potential to build some type of solar project on this property, there is an opportunity for the town of Lunenburg to come to an agreement with a known taxable amount, which will be a guaranteed revenue moving forward. If we don't enter into a pilot agreement, there is still the potential for this project to be built, but without the tax benefit for the town of Lunenburg.
Okay, so what you're saying is power from these panels will be distributed over the same transmission lines that Unitil uses?
Yes.
Okay. So that we don't have to apply for a special connection? which is what was implied by Mr. Clark.
You have to apply, there will be a window of opportunity for people to sign up for community solar. And that will be publicized through our website as well as through the NextAmp website. And people will have an opportunity to sign up. And I can tell you from previous experience in the last community solar project that was built, people have an opportunity to sign up. You provide a copy of your electric bill to determine how much electricity you want to purchase, and then then you can be approved for that amount of electricity.
Okay, I'm still missing something here. If NextAmp is using the same transmission lines that Unitil is using, how can we sign up or not sign up? It's there.
Go ahead, Mr. Klein.
It's an entirely virtual transaction. The wires are not used at all. The electricity generated by the project does go onto Unitil's wires, but for purposes of community solar, it's virtual. You're allocated cash credits at a discount relative to what you currently pay Unitil.
Okay, again, what you're saying is it's not changing the bill we're getting from Unitil for the existing service. We're just paying you additional money on top of the generation distribution to Unitil.
All right, time out. Mr. Alonso's convinced he can explain.
I didn't say I was going to, I want to...
Go ahead.
So the site that they're going to have generates power. They have a meter at their site that tells everyone, including Unitil, how much power they generate. People who sign up will get a share of what they generate, and through Unitil's billing, those people who sign up for community solar through them will get assigned that fraction to them on their bill. So it's not like their energy is directly going to your house. It goes into the system as a whole, and they monitor how much their system generates, and then that generated power gets distributed to their subscribers.
As a credit on your bill.
Okay, well, that again implies that anything that people don't sign up for, go back to Unitil, because we're not using that. We're only using what we sign up for, and we have to pay NextAmp to sign up for it, like you said, subscribers.
No payment.
Mr. Martin, it seems like you're the person who's got the question, which is okay. So let's do that after the meeting, since it's 2 o'clock and you're going to run out of donuts. Go ahead, Mr. Bitts.
Hi, Greg Bitter, 129 Wilson Street. I believe we already have a program like this in place. It was a roof-mounted system that I believe 50 Lunenburg residents were able to take advantage of. The town received 20% saving, I believe the residents was 10 or 15%. With that being said, again, I think it's premature because we don't have anything in writing to establish that they are going to provide these services or this opportunity to the townspeople. When we signed the original contract with the other company, they said the same thing, but then they started signing up other communities first prior to Lunenburg residents. I think we need to quantify the benefit to the town. I don't see any sense of urgency. I know they wanted to get it on the town meeting article, and that was done prior to them even giving a presentation to the Board of Selectmen. And I know we actually did have a special town meeting to facilitate the panels going on this building, and I believe that was a 350 kilowatt system, and this one is going to be up to 6 megawatts. So I think taking our time and taking a cautious approach, we're not opposed to the negotiations, but I think at this time that we need to get a substantial amount of information as to how this project will benefit our residents. Thank you.
Right ahead.
Question to clarify previous speakers' comments in regards to pilots. Excuse me. My understanding is that we have no pilots in place at this point. There was discussion with other installers and discussion here at town meeting about that point with other systems that were going to be developed, but it's my understanding that we have no pilot agreements in place at this point.
Let's get that clarified. I see a lot of shaking heads over here. Somebody. Anybody. Do we have a pilot already in existence?
This is our first pilot.
Mr. Chair, what's the
We don't have an answer to the question.
We don't have an answer.
All right, the
We
question
don't
is,
have
do
any
we have any other questions?
I know what the question is. Mr. Moderator, it's my understanding that this will be the first one, but I can't confirm that.
Okay, secondly, if I may, Mr. Moderator.
Go ahead.
Secondly, if that is the case, and I know pilots have been discussed with other solar array developers, why is this one more advantageous to go the pilot route than the ones previous were not? I hear that the personal property taxes seems to be the question, but is that the only reason why we would go into the pilot program at this point?
Go ahead.
We did have a presentation from Nexamp and from Harold Scheid, our Board of Assessor, our community assessor, who indicated that a pilot would actually be in the best interest of the town of Lunenburg. And based on that recommendation, based on the fact that residents of Lunenburg will be given an opportunity to purchase power at a discounted rate, I would be in favor of this and I would support you to support it. I can assure you that when we negotiate the pilot, we will ensure that there is a window of opportunity for Lunenburg residents versus the Unitil, the entire Unitil area, and that will be within our purview. This article gives us the authority to enter into a pilot, but we would negotiate the terms, and based on what we're saying, as Mr. Alonso said, we all feel it's important that the citizens of Lunenburg be given first priority, and we will ensure that that is written into the agreement.
Okay, Mr. Alonso.
I just wanted to, there is one other reason why it's important now is because when we investigated them before, it was more certainty on our side that from the assessors that we had the authority to tax the personal property. That is got more and more cloudy over the years, and instead of doing something that may get jeopardized with court or legislative changes that may preclude us from doing anything, we thought it was a good idea in partnership with the company that's doing the solar to come up with an agreement now so everybody knows it going forward. Otherwise, we risk, if there is legislative changes and we can't tax it, we could get nothing.
All set? I think we're ready to vote, don't you?
Yeah.
No, we're ready. We're ready. I'm going to power through this whole day, so keep eating those donuts or the fruit that's out there if you feel like being healthy. So this is Article 26. It's a majority vote. All those in favor of the pilot program in Article 26, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Oh, wait a minute. I don't have a vote. Sorry. Cancel that. Selectmen, I need a vote from each one of you.
Mr. Alonso.
Aye.
Mr. Russo. Aye. Clerk.
Aye.
And I myself.
And finance.
Mr. Erickson?
Aye.
Mr. Henshaw?
Aye.
Mr. Martin is an aye. Aye.
Okay. So now I'm back to calling for the vote. So all those in favor of Article 26, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Passes by majority. Article 27.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to pass over Article 27.
Second.
There's a second. Selectmen, why do you recommend passing over?
We will be holding a related workshop on traffic rules and regulations shortly, and we'll bring this to the fall special town meeting.
All those in favor of passing over Article 27, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passed over. Article 28, Mr. Eversole.
Mr. Moderator, with your permission, I would like to acknowledge the fact that the Board of Selectmen recently entered into an RFP for legal services and selected a legal firm different than our current town council. I would like to recognize the services of Joel Hart, KP Law. He has given us great work over the years, and I would like to ask the town meeting to recognize that service.
I second that motion.
Mr. Moderator?
Number 28, Mr. Eversole.
I move that the town vote to accept the provisions of Chapter 40, Section 58 of the general laws to impose a municipal charge as lien on real property for unpaid sewer connection fees, sewer reserve capacity fees, sewer reconnection fees, and sewer grease trap permit fees owed to the town in the manner provided for by Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 58, which lien may include any related charges, penalties, or fees, including interest relating to the unpaid fees, and all costs to record said liens in the appropriate registry of deeds.
Is there a second?
Second.
Selectmen, your recommendation.
Selectmen recommend approval.
Thank you. Finance.
Finance Committee recommends approval.
Thank you. Tell us, Mr. Eversole, what's the thoughts on it.
General law allows, as is typical, the ability to add various liens to your real estate tax property bill. However, a municipal charge is not a typical charge that can be added. So the statute that was referred here allows the town to identify specific liens that relate to a real estate property that may have been charged by one of the town departments and add it to the real estate bill if the property owner does not pay it. Without this, we would have to go to court, we would have to do ticket, other things like that. There are other town departments that may have taken advantage of this, but we would have to come back to town meeting for each of those other charges. These are specific charges that relate to a particular property for the services that relate to sewer service to those properties.
Thank you. Any questions about Article 28? Then we're ready to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passed unanimously. 29, Mr. Alonso.
I move that the town vote to amend the general bylaws of the town by amending Article 2, Section 16A and B as printed in the warrant.
Thank you. And is it going to be up on the screen?
Do we have a presentation?
We do not.
Okay, so there's your article. Somebody going to explain what we're doing here?
Basically, this is the Municipal Modernization Act change in law that requires to change the bylaw from over 12 months delinquent to over 60 days. I will defer to the town manager if she has any further additions.
Just that it also allows the denial of license permit if the property owner is delinquent on any other properties within Lunenburg, not just the licensed premise.
So somebody's got two properties.
Correct.
Seeing no one at the microphone, I'll declare we're ready to vote. All those in favor of Article 29?
Board of Selectmen recommend approval.
Oh, sorry. Finance Committee.
We have no recommendation.
No recommendation. All right, now you're ready, Mr. Alonso. All those in favor of Article 29, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Article 30.
I move that the town vote to accept the provisions of General Laws, Chapter 60, Section 2, as most recently amended by 2016-218, Section 155, effective November 7th, 2016, to provide for abatement if the tax collector is satisfied that an unpaid tax on land committed to the collector or any of the collector's predecessors in office for collection was assessed on evaluation insufficient to meet the charges or expenses of collection, or if any other committed tax is unpaid and is less than $25.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Selectmen?
Recommend approval.
Finance?
Finance Committee has no recommendation.
No recommendation. Tell us about this article.
I would defer to the town manager.
Like the previous couple articles, this is another section of law that was changed per the Municipal Modernization Act, a recent change in law that the legislature did. So the acceptance allows the assessors to abate the tax if the tax collector deems the assessed value is less than the expense of collection, or if the committed tax is unpaid and less than $25.
Questions about this article? Okay. All ready to vote? Article 30. All those in favor, please signal by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passed unanimously. Let's talk about zoning. Number 31. Mr. Vincent.
I move the town vote to pass over Article 31.
Is there a second? Okay. Why do you want to pass over it, Mr. Ritter?
Through doing our due diligence and reviewing the warrant article, we feel as though we can improve the language of that portion of the bylaw.
Okay. Anybody want to discuss passing it over? Oh, yes, Mr. Vasquez, come up with that.
Dave Passios, 56 White Street. I'm at the microphone representing the Board of Health at this moment. We had a bi-monthly meeting last Monday, I believe it was. And I just wanted to pass on that it was very important to the board that this section be left in the protected bylaws. But also, there was a unanimous vote, and will be a notice coming from the Board of Health to the building department that we wish to see this enforced to its fullest, which we understand it has not been. Thank you.
All those in favor of passing over Article 31, please signal by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passed over. Article 32, you're still up there.
I move that the town vote to amend the zoning bylaw, section 6.4, driveways and entrances, as printed in the warrant, submitted by the planning board.
Thank you. Put it up on the screen there, Mr. Birdie. If we're going to say as printed in the warrant, have it up on the screen. Maybe just that's about it. Why don't you go ahead and tell us about it?
This is language that was in the bylaw as of annual town meeting last year. That we are. There we go. There we go. Blessed technology. So this is language that was in the bylaw previously in the creation of new commercial parking standards and the merger of two different parking sections. It was inadvertently dropped. The omission was noted when someone looked to install a common driveway. It allows for exactly what was allowed for previously with one or two minor word changes for consistency. It is a residential common driveway for two primary dwellings only. This is something that is utilized in a variety of places throughout town and would just be a continuation of the existing land use policy.
Selectman, your recommendation?
Please take a roll call vote.
Sure.
Sure.
I actually just have a question. In looking at the warrant, I'm seeing inserting the bolded text, and you talked about that this existed prior, and in the other articles I can see the strike-throughs and the addition. What did it say that differs?
So this is actually new language because it was deleted previously. The word change, primary, was added. It said two dwellings, and with the allowance for accessory dwelling units, if a one-family home has an accessory dwelling unit, one could interpret that to be two dwellings, which is why the word primary was installed. So two primary dwellings could both legally through zoning by right have an accessory dwelling, and that would be four dwellings on the common driveway, but two would be the primary dwellings. So it was a clarification on that, so that it wasn't a counting of whether or not there was an accessory dwelling in a unit and not to remove that right from a property owner. And the other, I think at one point it said, I think located was the word that was changed, and I think it was another synonym to located, but located was used earlier in the bylaw, so it was just having the words be the same usage. So it doesn't change the intent, it's a clarification for consistency.
Just one further question. I guess I was surprised by the wording that says that it says that the frontage has to be located through the frontage or access strip of both lots equally. So that means that if you had a front lot and a back lot, you couldn't have a shared driveway?
You could. It would need to be along the shared property line. And it does give an allowance, and the reason for that is so that each property shares the burden of maintenance and upkeep of the driveway. It does provide for the approval of the planning board and the building inspector for an alternate location to ensure that it isn't a safety or other issue. And it's not a special permit, it's an approval. It's a discussion and just a written approval.
Okay, so there is the ability of the planning board to locate it in a better place for safety or other reasons?
Through the request of the property owner, yes. Mr. Meyer.
Anyone else on Article 32? Selectmen, you ready to take a roll call?
Yes, for recommendation, Mr. Alonso.
Aye.
Mr. Usula. Aye. Ms. Bertrand.
Aye.
And aye for myself.
Thank you. Finance?
Finance Committee found no direct financial impact.
Okay. And Planning Board, what was your vote?
We have George vote, I think one member was absent.
It was 4-0 in favor.
4-0 in favor. Okay. Seeing no one else ready, we'll vote on Article 32. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes by the majority, required 2/3 as in zoning. Article 33, unanimous, passed unanimously, and required 2/3. Kathy said unanimously. I would technically take it later. 33, marijuana. Article 33, somebody move it.
Are
we ready?
Yeah.
Quick question. I don't know what that proceeding is. I'm an 8th block of 91 Main Street. I just like to propose that we take 34 through 39 and then do 33.
Well, you're asking the body to move one article out of order?
I expect the conversation on Article 33 to be more time than I personally have today. And I would like to lend my count to the quorum to get through as much as we can, but I don't have time for 2 hours right now. And that, I think, is realistically what we were in for.
Okay. Well, you're asking if the body will entertain your motion to take which article out of order?
Yes, take them out of order, yep.
What article are you asking to take next?
I'm asking to take the next one next, and then all the other ones, and then put this one at the end.
You're asking to take Article 34, 35, 36, etc. now, and to ask that Article 33 be at the end of the warrant?
That would be my preference.
Okay. Well, that's your motion.
That's my motion too.
Is there a second to the gentleman's, pardon?
Second.
There's a second to the gentleman's motion to take it out of order. Okay.
To put it at the end.
To put it at the end. Okay. Well, I'm not gonna entertain that motion, even though I know that you've made it. And I have the authority not to take things out of order if I think that there's a solid reason. And I'd like you to stay regardless. So let's just stay with Article 33. Somebody move it.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move that the town vote, I move that the town vote to amend the zoning bylaws to consider section 4.18 temporary moratorium on the sale and distribution of recreational marijuana, and to amend the table of contents by adding the words temporary moratorium on the sale and distribution of recreational marijuana as printed in the warrant.
Is there a second?
Second.
Selectman, you ready to make a recommendation? It says you're going to make a presentation. I think it needs recommendation.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Finance Committee, a recommendation?
We found no direct financial impact.
Planning Board, what was your vote?
Unanimous recommendation.
Okay. Tell us about the article.
So we're here to talk about pot. What is recreational marijuana? I'm pretty sure we all know back in November, question 4 passed. If you're over 21 years of age and you want to buy marijuana, you can. When they legalize the cultivation and sale, which will be 1 July 2018. I'm not going to get into the use or any of that right now. So that's what this article is discussing. Why do we need a moratorium? Mostly, it has to do with, if you picked up your packets, there is a sheet with the bylaw and a very large piece of paper attached with a very funky looking diagram, which you'll see in a minute. This is the timeline for the state's process on licensing marijuana. And it does not in any way, shape, or form line up with any town meeting type process timeline to allow us to respond to their regulations in a reasonable time frame to determine whether or not what they're putting in place for licensing would be appropriate for the town of Lunenburg and how we may wish to address the licensing of or the zoning of non-medical marijuana sales in the town of Lunenburg. So the Cannabis Advisory Board will be appointed as of August of this year by the governor. The Cannabis Control Commission will be appointed after that. The Cannabis Control Commission, per question 4's wording, is intended to be analogous to the ABCC. There's a lot of subtle differences that I don't think make a big difference right now, but they will be promulgating the rules. They will be the ones who determine how licensing happens. And in doing that, my understanding of the way the referendum was written and the way that it exists currently, the town would just be said, do they meet your zoning requirements? We're not allowed to impose any unreasonable regulatory process on them, which essentially means we cannot require them by special permit. Time, place, and manner is the words that are in the law, which essentially means site plan approval, which is a shaping of a use by right. We do have the right to do a variety of different things, but we don't have the ability to form and to have an informed opinion and to form a reasonable bylaw in reaction to what the state is putting forward by the annual town meeting of next year. Because their rules would come out, as it says, on November 15th of 2018, which at that time, in all likelihood, our town meeting warrant would be closed or closing. So in order to put together a planning process, we would need several or more months after that. The moratorium is intended to go to November 31st, 2018, and at that time, between the issuance of the regulations from the state and the end of the moratorium, the town could undertake a planning process, put forward bylaws to either shape the way that those uses are located and where they may be located, or prohibit them, as some towns have already done. If we had a town meeting in late October of 2018, we put together a planning process, the moratorium would be vacated by that planning, by the institution of a new bylaw. Moratorium temporarily restricts it to December 1st of 2018. What it doesn't do, it doesn't touch medical marijuana. Registered marijuana dispensaries exist, not in town, but they are covered under the Department of Public Health. They are separate from non-medical marijuana. This moratorium does not look to regulate those. They are regulated under Section 416 of our protected bylaw, and they would continue to be permitted through the special permit process that exists. So with that, I would take any questions.
Don't see any. Article 33 is before you. We need to get a recommendation from the select board. Those that are left.
The three of us.
I support the article.
And I do as well.
You have a quorum?
Not a moment.
You want a moment? Mrs. Bertram! The selectmen need a quorum to tell us what the vote on Article 33. Thank you. Moratorium on marijuana.
In favor?
In favor. Okay, thank you very much. Anybody else on Article 33? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. There you go. 34.
Mr. Moderator?
Thank you.
Mr. Everson. I move that the town vote to amend the general bylaws of the town to address typographical errors, corrections, repeal of obsolete bylaws, and for the enumeration of articles as shown on the handout titled Bylaw Review Committee Recommendations.
Is there a second?
Second.
Selectman, your recommendation.
The selectman recommendation after the presentation.
Keep your quorum. Finance.
The Finance Committee finds no financial impact.
Okay.
Mr. Moderator?
Thank you.
There is a blue handout that was given to you when you came in, double-sided pages. The first two double-sided pages relate to the non-substantive changes. The last two pages relate to Article 35, which are substantive questions that we will not talk about right now. In 2016, the Board of Selectmen, as required by the Charter, appointed a bylaw review committee. That included Robert Bowen, Nancy Gray, Michelle Smith, Kathy Hennessy, and Kathy Herrick as town clerk. They completed their report last fall, which was forwarded to this Board of Selectmen. Several of the items were clearly just housekeeping items, in that the Charter provides for many of the duties of different town committees, and the bylaws that we had before the charters have never been repealed. Another section, we deal with conflict of interest law. The state law covers that and is sufficient to make sure that conflict of interest is followed. Providing for gender-neutral language. Changing the superintendent of highways to DPW director, which is the title. Appointing gas piping, gas inspector, Inspector Wires, that's in the Charter. Finance committee, their duties are in the Charter. Board of Health duties are in the Charter. Sewer commission duties are in the Charter. And the last item was capital planning committee, just a typographical error from section 6.6 to 6.7. So that's the non-substantive changes under Article 34.
Selectman, I don't think we have your recommendation yet.
For recommendation, Mr. Mato.
Aye.
Mr. Russo.
Aye.
Ms. Bertram.
Aye.
And I for myself.
All right. Anybody on Article 34? I think we're ready to vote. This is the majority. All those in favor, please
Point of
signify by
order,
saying
Mr.
aye.
Moderator.
Pardon?
I believe we may have lost our quorum.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Somebody has challenged the quorum.
You're in the middle of an article.
Middle of an article, we can finish the article. And after we finish the article, if there's not 50 people in the room, we can suspend until we do. The rule is that you can continue to vote even if there's not a quorum, unless somebody challenges the quorum. In the middle of the article, we can continue to vote the article because we moved it and we seconded and we have recommendation. And after that, we'll take a head count. So all those in favor of Article 34, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. So now Mrs. Menard has challenged the quorum. So I will have to get some counts. So Mr. Bingley and Mr. Jones are over there. Mrs. Menard, and you can, well, I guess you shouldn't count your own, okay. So we'll have, would you and your wife, I'm guessing, do the count over the middle? Thanks. I don't know. Mr. Beck?
Somebody check out the hall.
Yeah, I'll call. Is anybody in the hallway? Please come down, please come in, because we'll count the quorum. Mr. Lebeck, grab somebody up on your side. The young lady is sitting in the first row up there. Come on down. Everybody come into the building if you're here and you're a registered voter. All right, well, we'll take a moment for the men's room, people. We'll have them hold up their cards. Okay, everybody in the room, hold up your card if you're in the room and you're a registered voter. Okay, sir. Including the people that are on the stage, etc. We count this side, Jones. 2 people count the middle, including the middle, second half, if you will. Anybody in the hallway that's a registered voter? Thank you, sir. Stand in here. Don't go anywhere. We might lose you. Chief, take me to your cousin. Chief's down here. Chief Sullivan's up there too. Okay, Jones, from your side.
14.
14. Folks from the middle.
18.
18. Over here, Mr. Levesque. 16.
16.
16. What's the total? Got it.
48.
Anybody else? No, we don't count kids.
Mr. Moderator, I had one more this year, but was unable to check in because there was nobody working out front.
Well, that'll make 49. That doesn't get us there.
Did you count Emily?
We will reconvene by my watch at 2:45. That gives you 20 minutes to make a phone call and get somebody down here. Williamsburg's a small town. But if some of you leave and don't come back, then we won't have that. Huh? 25 minutes. In the meantime, if there's still donuts out there, please. Okay, count on the left, count in the middle, count on the right. Don't forget the people up here, including me. Miss Bodley, who's on the camera, has her card now. In the middle.
21 in the middle.
21 in the middle. Jonesy.
17.
17 on my left. 18 on my right. 50. Lock the door, Chief. Lock the door, Chief. Okay, where are we?
Mr. Moderator.
We voted on 34, Article 35.
Mr. Moderator.
Yes, please.
I move that the town vote to amend general bylaws of the town by amending Article 2, Section 12, Article 5, Section 13, Article 6, Section 3, Article 9, Sections 9 and 10, as shown on the handout titled Bylaw Review Committee Recommendations.
Second. There's a second. Selectman, what's your recommendation?
We'll make recommendation after presentation.
Finance?
Finance Committee finds no direct financial impact.
Okay, tell us about it, Mr. Pearsall.
Mr. Moderator, this is again the blue handout, the last the last one double-sided sheet, except for the first Article 2, Town Administration, Section 1, which were not included in the motion. So I'm going to talk about the individual items. I've got some personal opinions after that, but again, this is the report for the Bylaw Committee. So Article 2, Section 12 is removing a license and fee permit as a duplicate. Article 5, use of public ways as a duplicate of the Massachusetts Architectural Access Board requirements. Government of town meetings is eliminating the 2/3 vote for a financial article at a special town meeting. And Article 9 is moving earth removal ordinance from the selectmen to the planning board. So I'll go back to the first item. I do not recommend repealing Section 12. That section actually says, unless otherwise provided, the fees shall be, and they list a about 30 or 40 fees in the late 80s, and since then we've updated them. We came up with a different fee schedule that the town has adopted that actually increases the fees, so I do not recommend approval of that one. Use of public ways, that's fine, that really is a duplicate. Government of town meetings, Mr. Moderator, do you want to talk about each section separately and sort of do a whole type thing, or?
Whatever you think makes the most sense for people to understand. Everything.
So the government of special town meetings, talking with the voter outside. So traditionally over the years, we have special town meetings, and we've always had a 2/3 vote requirement to do a money article, either appropriating or reducing the number. The theory being is that a special town meeting is an unusual time to spend money as opposed to the annual budgeting process. The previous town manager recommended changing that to a majority vote with the understanding that we now do budgets differently. I could go either way. I tend to want to keep a higher standard for a special town meeting. Changing the permitting authority for earth removal from the selectmen to the planning board, I think that's a good direction, but I think that we ought to come up with an updated earth removal bylaw, including the concerns that's going on in Uxbridge, where it's sort of earth disposal, where people are bringing dirt from other towns that may be contaminated into the town, and that could be addressed in that process as well.
Questions for the article? So are you making a recommendation to amend things, Mr. Petersall?
So I would make a motion to amend by deleting the proposed repeal of Section 12.
Article 2, Section 12.
That's correct.
Right?
Article 6, Section 3, and Article 9, Sections 9 and 10. So it basically just repeals Article 5, Section 13.
So are you going to write that all down for Ms. Herrick? Simplify that for us, Mr. Alonso, as you're understanding it, you were just checking.
So everything would be removed except for Article 5, Section 13 for repeal. Everything else would stay as it is in our bylaws.
Okay. So, and that's your motion. All right. Is there a second to the motion? Second. Second to the motion. The motion that's before you now is to delete much of the language in Article 35 with the exception of leaving in the reference to Article 5, Section 13, correct?
Yes.
Correct. Okay. Discussion. People need it explained again. Yeah. That's what I thought, Steve. Thank you. Okay. So explain it again.
I do not recommend repealing Article 2, Section 12.
Because?
That would reduce the fee schedule that we've already had for about 30 years. And that would reduce the revenue coming in to the town.
Fee schedule for what?
Anything from gas permits to marriage licenses.
Okay. So that, Section 2, Article 2, Section 12, if it's left alone, keeps the fee schedule as it currently exists.
That's correct.
Good. And then Article 6, Section 3, that you're saying take that out, what's that about?
That is about eliminating the requirement for a 2/3 vote for money articles at a special town meeting.
No, it's taking it out of this article in order to revert back to the current policy of a 2/3 vote at a special town meeting. Right?
That's correct.
In Article 9, Sections 9 and 10, you want to take those out, what's that about?
That would be moving earth removal permits from the selectmen, transferring it to the planning board.
You're saying leave it with the Board of Selectmen?
For now, yes.
For now, okay. Everybody clear on what he's trying to accomplish? Okay. Anybody want to discuss, debate the motion, which is to change it to simply amending the bylaws, Article 5, Section 13, And what will it say once it's amended? What will Article 5, Section 13 say when it's amended?
It will say that we will repeal Section 13 of Article 5, use of public ways.
And why are we doing that?
That is a redundant statement of Massachusetts Architectural Access Board requirements. This is the handicap parking requirements for parking lots.
Okay, because it's redundant. Okay. Everybody clear on what he's trying to accomplish? Any?
Okay, everything's out. All right, very good.
Everybody clear? On the motion, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So the motion's carried. Now what's before you is Article 35, amending the general laws, and the only thing that's left is deleting Article 5, Section 13. Selectmen, a vote.
Mr. Longo.
Aye.
Mr. Petersall.
Aye.
Ms. Bertram.
Aye.
And I myself.
Finance.
We have no recommendation.
Anybody on 35? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. 36.
Mr. Moderator,
Thank you.
I move that the town vote to renumber and recaption the general bylaws of the town, such revisions currently on file in the office of the town clerk.
Is there a second?
Second.
Selectmen.
Selectmen recommend approval.
Finance.
Finance Committee sees no direct fiscal impact.
Okay. What's this all about, Mr. Eversole?
Mr. Moderator, about 2 years ago, the previous town manager engaged with the town clerk, a firm, to recodify all of our bylaws. It's basically to put it in the same format and to have the numbering system be more consistent, language be parallel language so it all sounds the same and will actually be able to be online in a more efficient basis. This would make no changes to the bylaws and would just renumber, put the titles be the same throughout the whole system.
Any discussion about 37? Excuse me, 36. I'm trying to jump ahead. On Article 36. Seeing no one at the microphone, we're ready to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. 37.
I move that the town vote to pass over Article 37.
Is there a second? Second. Why do you want to pass it over, Mr. Alonso?
I believe after review, there are no substantive changes in the codification of the bylaws.
Okay. Anybody want to discuss passing it over? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. All those in favor of passing over Article 37, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Passed unanimously. 38.
I move that the town vote to renumber and recaption the zoning bylaws of the town, such revisions currently on file in the office of the town clerk.
Is there a second? I think I heard that up there.
Yeah, there's a second.
Thank you. Selectman, what's your recommendation?
Recommend approval.
Finance Committee?
We find no impact.
No financial effect. What's going on here, Mrs. Bertram?
It's basically the renumbering in accordance with the changes that were made in Article 34.
Anyone want to, Mr. Finger, would you like to talk about numbers?
Yes, actually,
Go right ahead.
the planning board last Monday had originally voted to endorse this, but through doing some due diligence and the meeting we had prior to town meeting, we found that there maybe have some changes that were more substantive than not. And I think we have some amendments to that.
Okay. Well, why don't you tell us what the vote was for starters? I forgot to ask you.
The original vote was 4-0 with one member not present.
Okay. And you want to make some amendments? Excuse me, some amendments?
I agree.
Good. I've got it.
Yeah, for a second. So,
Right.
yes, I do. Dear Crosby, 733 West Street. One of the issues that we found that I'll be better with it in a second. There were some words that were omitted, cut out, and others put in that we didn't feel we were comfortable with. So, for instance, in section 250, 4.15 solar energy systems, the word conservation was stricken, and the word outline was put in. So we thought that was not de minimis.
All right.
Okay.
I'm tired of how to get billed as well.
So am I.
So tell me what
Okay.
part of
What
the
is it?
zoning language, what the zoning issue is that's in that part of the article,
Yeah.
and what it is, the words that you think need to be implemented or changed.
We move that the word conservation remain, and in each instance, the word land in parentheses be added following the word conservation, wherever it appears in that section.
Okay, but that section is about what?
It's about setbacks in solar energy systems for large-scale solar.
Setbacks on large-scale solar
Yes,
projects. And the
one of
language that's there says what?
Striking the word conservation and replacing or adding the word outline, districts. Instead of, it's changing the wording from conservation to outline.
And you're opposed to that?
Yes.
Okay. Why do we take, you got several of these, right?
Oh, we have
one
other, I think.
One other? Okay. So let's understand this particular concern. We haven't made it as a motion yet, but just hold on and see if people have questions or want to understand.
Mr. Moderator.
Town Council and Mr. Ebersol both.
So the same firm that was recodifying the general bylaws was recodifying the zoning bylaws, and apparently when they did that recodification, actually made a change of a word that became substantive instead of just typographic.
Correct.
So,
correct.
I certainly, I'm not speaking for the board, but I certainly would support the planning boards who are experts on the zoning if they're coming up with proposed changes that are not, that will bring it back to a non-substantive change, and then we'll get a recodified system.
This is a bylaw I believe we're going to be working on in the next year probably, so.
Okay. So what Mr. Ebersol said comports with what you're saying?
Yeah.
Correct? Okay. You want to say something, Council?
Yes, I can.
Maybe.
Would you like me to hand in the, hand up?
Okay, here we go, Mr. Moderator. So I actually had reviewed this and noticed that change. Now, the sentence refers to, let me read the sentence. All ground-mounted installations shall be surrounded by a buffer strip which shall be 200 feet in depth in a residential, conservation or outlying district. And I'm sorry, the word outlying is there. So it says a residential, conservation or recreation district. And the proposed change is to get rid of the word conservation and substitute the word outlying. I assume, because I haven't been involved in the process, just picking up the very tail end, I assume that at some earlier date, the word conservation had incorrectly been put in there, because the town does have an outlying district, but doesn't have a conservation district. The other words there are the names of districts, residential or recreation. So I assume that the code people, when they made their changes, just saw the word conservation and said, well, that was either a mistake or it's vestigial, maybe there was a conservation district years ago. But to make it conservation land changes the meaning entirely. This is just meant to be changed in nomenclature from conservation to outlying. So if left as is, it is just a technical amendment. And again, as I said, I got in at the 11th and a half hour here, but in reviewing it, I was comfortable with this as a technical change because I thought they were just substituting the correct reference to an outlying district, whereas the word conservation had stuck in there at some point. And I don't know if...
Sorry. You want to go? Go ahead. Mr. Moderator, Greg Bittner, 129 Pleasant Street. I'm also a member of the planning board. I think striking the word conservation limits our ability to interpret the bylaw properly.
I think when this was originally written, I think that there was a lot of talk between the public and the planning board at that time about the protections that the bylaw was going to provide. And I think that one of one of the areas that we were worried about is encroaching upon conservation land. And that, I think, is why, in other words, when I look at it, I think the word districts is the wrong word, if you will. Follow what I'm saying?
I follow,
Or is-
but
yeah.
I don't agree, because I mean, it was correctly written if you keep the word district. And again, I apologize because I'm at a disadvantage just having jumped in at the very end, but again, as the change was proposed, it made sense to me. It made sense to me in terms of the overall structure of the bylaw. But if you feel that it's a substantive change, then it should be dropped. But if I may, I think what you're proposing is itself a substantive change that would be outside of the scope of what's here anyway, so we'd have to come back at a later date.
Isn't that what an amendment's for?
The last piece, if you're suggesting making this conservation land, then I think that is a substantive change that was not advertised. And so, in other words, if you want to take...
So we get rid of outline.
You can, just leave it the way it is.
Leave it the way it is,
And then if later you want to talk about making conservation land, that would be for another town meeting.
When we go and take another look at it. Okay, so how would I write that up? So it would be, do not delete conservation, I guess, and don't switch it. Well, I mean, I don't have a problem with putting outline, because that is the district, so. So leave outline. And conservation. Does that make sense?
So yes, to your last point, you could leave conservation in and add outline and then deal with the word conservation with some other...
So you're going to withdraw?
Yeah, or change it.
Almost done.
Can I suggest, Mr. Brogan?
Yes.
That you might want to withdraw it and come back. That's up to you.
Sure.
Hold on.
So I withdraw.
You withdraw it, because the second, withdraw the second. Who seconded it? Andrea, did you second it? And you'll withdraw the second. Good. Gotta keep moving. Okay. So now, we're still on 38. Mr. Hold on. Big conference going on. Steve, help us out. Okay, gentlemen, what's the answer to the pond slab up there? Where we at?
Mr. Moderator, so I think given these issues that have arisen, the safest thing would be to not make any changes to this section. Again, I had assumed that it would be a non-substantive change to change conservation to outline on the theory that the word conservation was incorrectly used and it should have been the outlying district. But if there's a sentiment that they are not the same thing, then I think it's best just to not make any changes at this time and to pick it up at a later date. Let's leave the text as it is.
Okay.
With conservation, without... Right.
And he's withdrawn, so we're safe there. And just so you know, Mr. Fogarty, that the warrant alerts the people to what we're going to be talking about. And if it's something that's substantively different and they haven't been warned, then the moderator is supposed to call it out to us. So that was the warning that council was giving you about now if it's going to be substantive, the body has not been done. All right.
I think our area was concerned is that the change we thought was substantive when it was advertised as non-substantive, so leaving it as is would be.
Okay. So you have another concern with 38?
Yeah, I just would like,
Go ahead.
on the small amendment, I would like to replace the words development plan review and replace it with site plan approval on page 171 under the definition of transparency, subsection B, authority. And it's just, we got rid of development plan review, and I think that was part of their purview was to, every other one was changed to site plan approval. I think they just may have missed this one.
Okay, so what is that section about? Is that about solar energy?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait, I'm sorry, you're talking to him.
Yeah. Get up to the microphone, okay? Right by here. This is a different section. Tell us what section you're talking about.
Section 250-4.17 Village Center District.
Okay, so it's about the village center,
Yep. Page 171.
and you want to take out the words development plan review
Yes.
about the village center again, and replace it with the word
Site
site plan approval. Correct?
Correct.
And this change is just about nomenclature because development plan review has been changed to site plan review.
Yes.
So that's non-substantive.
I'll second that amendment.
Okay. Anybody want to discuss the motion to amend? No one, I'll declare we're ready on the motion. So the motion is to amend, as I just read, just so it's a nomenclature that doesn't change. All those in favor of that motion to amend, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. So now the whole article is before you. Mr. Burgess.
Do I need to reread that, or do you need me to restate it as an amendment?
That's clear. Mrs. Herrick?
I don't know what he's talking about. Page 171, is definition.
Do you need a page number?
I put a page number of the...
Come on up. We're a friendly group. Mr. Burns?
Sorry, everyone.
I want to thank you all for coming back and staying. I know it's a long day. It is. You know, and I was saying to someone earlier that it's wonderful that you have as much discussion as you want to have in your town. That some people repeat themselves 3 or 4 times. Absolutely. And that's okay, because they took the day off to be here with us, to be able to express themselves, and that's what it's all about. This is the best form of democracy you could possibly imagine, and especially in a small town where you as an individual can rally your forces, make a persuasive argument, and carry the day. It needs to be heard. I've got no problem with this being here a long time. We will have lunch provided next week. There'll be brown bags out there, and you can keep munching all the way to the day next week, I promise. I can sing and dance, a little. Singing's not too bad, the dancing.
But this is not
And you realize we only have one more after, right? And we're past it.
Well, not new, but it's another iteration.
I thought that was the one that was passed.
He is, when he said, you're right.
Let me have it.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that people okay with that.
It was seconded, okay?
And passed.
And passed, correct. And now we've clarified the language. Now Mr. Rokeby is back with the motion that he had withdrawn, because he's rewritten it to submit it in the fashion that town councils have it.
So I hereby move that section 250-41.15 solar energy systems and water conservation not be stricken from the section.
Okay? Second. Second. Got it? Anybody? You're not sure, ask. Got it, Kathy? Good. So on that motion, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passed unanimously. Now, the article itself is now before you. Any more discussion about the article? Good. All those in favor of Article 38, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passed unanimously because it's a two-thirds. Article 39, the last article.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to pass over Article 39.
Is there a second? Excellent. Why are you passing it over?
I believe it was taken care of in the discussion we just had.
Oh, excellent reason. Anybody want to talk about passing over 39? Good. All those in favor of passing over 39 and going home, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? I didn't think so. Thank you all. We don't have to move. The warrant is finished. We're done. Thank you.